Nirmal Kumar, presently Principal of Bhagalpur College of Engineering, Bhagalpur.
Good evening everyone. I am Anupam Singh, Director of State MR Jaipuria School, Director of Aptech Computer Education Patna, and Director of Admiral Group of Institutions, under which I am running 4 colleges. This is my 27th year in education. I am an alumni of IIM Bangalore with IT background and specialization in finance. Thank you.
I am Mohammad Masood Ahmed, Director of Azad College of Engineering and Technology. Thanks a lot again calling me as a panel, and I am very much privileged to have my teacher, Professor Dr. Nirmal Kumar, to have a panel with such a distinguished personality. Thank you, sir.
I am Professor Shekhar from Bhagalpur College of Engineering. I am also adjunct faculty of IIIT Bhagalpur. I am looking after the placement cell, as also the World Bank coordinator with the technical at my institution.
To be the moderator for such a wonderful session with the expertise of this order. Well, ma'am, looking into your exposure and the long association that you've been having with education, could you tell us a little bit of education then and education today? How it has transited, the transit of education then to education now.
I suppose we should also include education next time. So education then was definitely very person dependent and limited resource dependent. I'm a person with few words, so I would not like to elaborate on that. But it was more personalized. We had definitely limited resources in terms of faculty, in terms of library, or in terms of learning material. But the education of the future is not just going to be person dependent, it's going to be knowledge dependent, and the common resource knowledge pool of the world is where our students are headed for, and that is where is the responsibility of every institution, whether it is school or college, that they should have a technology which is able to not only integrate the students, but first of all, because the inherent challenge is, though our children are geared for the future, but fortunately or unfortunately, our teachers are not geared for the future. They are still in the past or in the current. So, just to sum up the entire thing, we need to not only prepare our faculty members, our infrastructure, because unless they are prepared, our students will not be prepared for the future, because education is not just limited within the boundary of the school, or within the boundary of the class, or within the boundary of the college. It's boundaryless thanks to the technology, and that's the greatest challenge which we must adhere to. Thank you.
Education anytime, anywhere and everywhere. Education anytime, anywhere and everywhere. Right. Dr. Nirmal Kumarji, how do we, we've been listening, our curriculum is not befitting the industrial needs, and what our children study are what they are being assessed, the assessments are also obsolete. How do we gear and make our students, future ready?
Thank you. Good question. It was views expressed by Professor Masood that our curriculum is not contemporary, but he is affiliated to Magadha University.
I'm sorry to interrupt, sir.
Just a minute. Just a minute. I am affiliated to Artbhat Knowledge University. Artbhat Knowledge University syllabus is contemporary as per the need of the present day. But it needs some changes. We should not blame the syllabus, curriculum, nothing. Now, these days, there are different type of scenarios due to advent of technology and technological infrastructure. I agree with the views expressed by Madam that Madam Anupma, that it has become boundaryless. The technology is changing very fast, and we have to move with the moving technology. The world is awaiting us. But what are the constraints in Bihar? We should also talk about that. 90% populations in Bihar living in a rural village without access of electricity, without access of right kind of education. And what to talk about the technology? Technology needs support. We have to create technological infrastructures to exploit the benefit of technology for grooming the young generations, ready for the industry, ready for the global market. Now, under WTO regime, capitalism, human resources are treated like a commodity. If our human resources are competitive in the global market, then they will be in demand in the global supply chain link of employment. And the students of Bihar doing excellent in the global market, and they are also intelligent. They are good in mathematics. Some of my friends were talking about the retarding the analytical brain with the help of technology. If 2 is multiplied by 2 equivalent to 4, first of all, a student should learn this. जैसे हम लोग पढ़े थे बचपन में गांव से, एडवांटेज था 40 तक का पहाड़ा पढ़ गए, याद था 40. Was it was the big advantage for us, and all due to mathematics. I joined Patna Science College as a student. Then I went to DIT Sindhi. Then I went to IIT Delhi for my MTech and PhD. I have written a book which is published from Germany, and all the creations I did from Bihar, from son of the soil, all due to my mathematical background, which I acquired in a remote village. गांव का स्कूल में पढ़ा, अंग्रेजी सीखा 8वीं क्लास, but it was not the barrier. First of all, we should sharpen the mind of the students. उसे मैथमेटिक्स सिखा कर. Suppose in I don't allow MATLAB for second year students. I told them first of all you should learn how to solve the cubic equations. With the help of MATLAB, the students are not able to learn the quadratic equations. What about the cubic equations? And the equations may be number not 3, it may be 1000. Here we need the help of technology. Here we need the help of software to solve this. And technology is also beneficial for the young generations. At the same time, if it is not used in a judicious way, then it will be disastrous. It will not be helping for us. It will be naturally a disaster. It is disastrous in USA. The student of United States of America, all due to use of technology, not able to learn the mathematics. This is the scenario that you should see all the things, taking all issues, all variables into considerations before creating infrastructures to whom we should allow to use technology. This is my view, and anyone may express their view for further discussion.
Thank you, sir. My question goes to Professor Shekhar of Bhagalpur Engineering College. Sir, most of the industries, they keep on cribbing that the pass outs of any of the engineering college or MBA college, etc., they are not industry fit. Okay? Be it the curriculum, be it the skills, be it the technology. What is it that gives them reasons to cry that the recruits, when they recruit, they have to again spend on educating them on skills so as to make them industry fit? Where are we lacking as educators, and how much of technology should intervene?
Very relevant question, ma'am, to rather the most irrelevant person, but then in my own way, probably I would like to answer to this fruitful question, which in fact deserves to be answered by more enlightened person. Recently, there was a report by NASCOM that only 2/3 of the graduates of engineering colleges are employed, and that in fact states a very sad story about the different engineering colleges in the country. We have ample number of jobs across the industry, but when the students, they are interviewed, the industries, they find these students not skillful enough to do justice with their organizations. What is the root of the matter? What is the crux of the problem? What is the heart of the matter? There lies a big gap between the expectations of the industry and what we deliver, what we produce, what is our material. So somehow then this gap between the industries, gap between the organizations and the curriculum we teach, that need to be bridged up. There must be a continuous kind of dialogue that has to be established between the industries and the institutions. And somehow or other, in fact, this part, this element is somewhere lacking, somewhere in our education system. In recent times, well, there is a special emphasis that has been given towards a skill. The students need to be oriented towards a skill learning, and that is why, well, internship program, project learning, even summer internship, well, that has been held in focus. Students, they need to be sent to the organizations for at least 6 months, where they must learn hand-on training. And also in the AICT curriculum, you find that somehow that the focus is that the industry people, they need to come to the institutions and they become the part of this training program. This 4-year course where the students, they come to the colleges, even the industry people, they come to train the students as well as the teachers. So institute-industry partnership happens to be one of the important aspects towards building the students for their future prospect in the industry. And we need to give a special emphasis towards that. Being a training and placement officer for the last 15 years, I have this kind of like feedback which I have received from industries or organizations like Infosys, even most of the industries of Tata. They say, well, your students, they are good enough. Mathematically they are very strong. Subject-wise they are very strong. But there are certain things which they lack. They lack communication skills. They lack, in fact, the other add-on skills which are necessary to become ready engineers. And that is why, well, I would exhort upon all the future makers of the students of the colleges that they in fact take particular care towards building students, towards injecting in them those elements which would help them to get into industry straight away and they become industry ready.
How can you use technology? Do you find the usage of technology over here to any aid?
Madam, in fact, this is a very large, this question has been discussed since morning, and I just gave a very patient hearing to this question. Here I have my opinion, so far as my opinion goes, I would say, well, that must be a kind of happy marriage between the industry, between the kind of technology which is to be used and also the kind of traditional mode of teaching. Well, we cannot straight away divorce the kind of traditional teaching that we have had. Even in the past, when we learned from our teachers, well, we didn't have the technology, and yet in fact the university produced some brilliant engineers. Well, we had some best of scientists, we had best of engineers, we had best of doctors, we had best of literatures without the aid of technology. But at the same time, I would tell that, well, technology cannot be divorced because we have to keep with the marching time. When we have to keep up with the marching time, well, there must be a kind of happy blend, right kind of blend. Because, life is not about emotion. Life is also about intellect. And in order to have a complete view of life, there must be a kind of happy blend between emotion and intellect. So is with the technology as well as, I would say, technology and the traditional mode of teaching. There must be a kind of happy blend. One must not leap over the other, and that they must not be kept in two separate watertight compartments. If we keep it in two separate watertight compartments, then in fact the essence of one or the other cannot be in fact mixed together and can have the best of it.
Very intelligently answered. All right, now Mr. Mohammed Masood Ahmed, isn't it? Without divorcing the traditional learning, without divorcing the traditional learning and without harping about technology, how can we bring a balance, a happy marriage, as Sir has said, in education, keeping the traditional and the modernity?
In my opinion, an integration of these two is required so that marriage should remain happy. That is, technology should be used as a facilitator so that the content of the learning should be more effective, less stress, and more enjoyable. When this is going to happen, then what is going to happen? The learning of the students is going to be on a very high scale, and at the same time, everything is going to be used in the form of technology with the
knowledge of that of basic fundamental concepts. If fundamental concepts you are lagging, then technology is not going to help much, in my opinion. So it is necessary that is fundamental knowledge that is to be acquired in the traditional format and must be integrated with that of the current technology. Technology will act as a facilitator to help you to learn more and more about that of how this can be integrated in such a way that the solution that we are trying to get it, that should be more efficient, that should be less stressful, that should be the core issue. So that the marriage should remain a very, very happy marriage.
Thanks for adding humor to it. And my last, the winding up question, is the time of sword hanging? Okay, the winding up question to math, Anupama Singh. How do we bridge the gap between the 12th and the technical courses, grade 12 and the technical courses? There still is a big gap.
The gap is between 10th and
10th onwards, yes.
10th till 10th. Children are employing many.
That mic is not working.
Technology not working here.
So yeah, we should not be slave to technology.
Yeah. Hitler never had a mic.
Yeah.
So moving on, I think there is a big gap between 10th and onwards. Till 10th, what the syllabus that I find is definitely not up to the standards of international, forget even national requirement. At +2 level, there is a quantum jump in the syllabus, and suddenly you find, and I'm a hardcore maths and science fan. So without maths and science being the critical part of learning, the way we learned maths and science in our school days, and we belong to the Jurassic age, people like us don't exist. So like Sir has said, that maths and science is the backbone, and I think if your maths and sciences is your backbone, then nothing else can beat you. You will be a logical person, and the entire technology is based on logic. Having said that, it is very important. What I really want to emphasize and rather appeal to all the educationists sitting here, especially who are from the school, is that no matter how advanced is the technology, the fundamental human values that a child learns in school makes him or her successful or not successful. Certain that like timeless values of hard working, of honesty, of integrity, of managing time, of respecting the values of life. If these traits are well trained in the ethos of the school, in the child, by the so-called educators, through a live example. Technology cannot be a live example. Only the principal or the teacher, the moderator, coordinator, whatever you name that person, are the people who influence the character of the person. And if that person is integrated, it has an integrity, then he or she will be able to take up the challenges of the world. That's my personal view.
You're right. You see, the technology, teachers can never be substituted, isn't it? And technology is only an aid, it is not the end.
Right, ma'am. We can see, every day we see wonderful WhatsApp videos where you have to be honest, right? We see wonderful videos about how to de-stress yourself. We see wonderful videos how to be successful in life. But when I see a person, a professor or a teacher, living that every day, that has a greater impact than that beautiful WhatsApp message that we get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, and it was a wonderful session. Thanks to all the panelists.
A huge round of applause, needless to say. Thank you, Rita ma'am. You were our savior once again, as always. I would request once again. Next up, Professor Nirmal Kumar, Principal, Bhagalpur College of Engineering. Next up is Dr. Mohammad Mansoor Ahmed sir. Next up is Ms. Anupam Singh, Director, St. M.R. Jaipuria School, Patna. Thank you so much, ma'am. St. M.R. Jaipuria has been a wonderful support, a backbone for Elets for a very, very long time. Last but not the least, Professor Shekhar, from Principal Bhagalpur College of Engineering. Thank you so much. Can we have a group?